All right. Welcome back to the Simple Idea Podcast. I'm Makai Green, and today I have a special guest with me, Eric Tamayo from the YouTube channel Hueguh. His channel focuses on men's lifestyle with an emphasis on design. Eric, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Makai?
Pretty solid. Thank you for agreeing to come on. It's been in the works for a while, but I really do appreciate you agreeing to come on. So,
Anytime. I appreciate you having me.
yeah. So, just want to first mention, huge fan of your channel. I've been following you for about maybe 5 to 6 months, but I really like your overall aesthetic. But with that said, I do want to jump right into this episode.
All right, let's do
So,
it.
first question I have for you, based off of your channel and what you portray through your videos, it looks like you value design and a clean aesthetic. Would you consider yourself a minimalist or an essentialist or neither? Like, where do you fall within that realm of just simple living?
Uh, Maybe all of the above. I think it's really hard to kind of condense down into one thing. If I had to pick one word, I would probably pick Hueguh, which is what the channel is named after. It's a Danish word that kind of encompasses minimalism and has more of a focus on social interactions and mainly more focused on love. And that's what I take away from minimalism, essentialism, and well designed things. I think anything that is like aesthetically pleasing has some form of love put into it. You can always tell when something was cooked with love. It's the reason why your mom's food is better than any restaurant out there. Or it's why when you look at something that a designer or an architect or a carpenter has worked on, you can tell. And I think anyone can appreciate good design, because I think behind anything with great design, or anything that kind of invokes emotion in us, I think behind that was a lot of passion and love that went into that object, that thing, or even someone's life. So that's kind of where I stand. I would probably pick Hugo.
All right, that's a very interesting perspective. Actually, I never really thought about it with I don't know, just people like quality and overall design coming back to thoughtfulness and love when you kind of build something up or create something. That's
Yeah,
pretty interesting, actually.
I mean, it's pretty funny. I've been meaning to like make a video about minimalism, and it is a little ambiguous. I think it's really hard to kind of make a 5 to 10 minute video about it, and I'm trying to collect more B-roll before I release it. I know a lot of people have been asking about it, but the most common response I get is a lot of people are base minimalism and essentialism around how many things you owned, or how many things you don't own. So it's weird. It's like, even though I think a lot of people saying this are consider themselves minimalist as well, but it's funny that they base it around the number of things you own. It's either you own a small amount of items, or you own a lot amount of items, and you can or you can't be a minimalist. But I do like to think minimally. I think that is a nice way to think about trying to streamline and get to this, I guess, essentialism, if minimalism doesn't work for you. But
Hmm.
yeah, at the end of the day, I think you have to enjoy whatever you are doing, or whatever you are using. And it sounds a little materialistic, I know, sometimes at times, but
Yeah.
you know, I, well, I mean, if like, let's say you're going to be stuck in traffic all day, I mean, wouldn't you want to enjoy, the car you're sitting in, or you want to enjoy the music you're listening to? You're not just going to
Yeah.
put
I
on
think.
anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's like just being very intentional about the things that you are kind of inviting into your life. Or
Yeah,
your life.
that's a good
So
way
yeah.
of putting it. Very, very intentional. Just be considerate. I think life's too short to do anything but find something that you enjoy, even if it's something small.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me personally, something that I struggled with was once I actually found out about minimalism or essentialism, all these different isms. You kind of try to practice it and you kind of go overboard with it. And you're like, oh, I don't need X, Y, and Z. So then for me personally, I started getting rid of a lot of things and, just downsizing, just getting rid of everything. But I realized, like, some of those items that I had before kind of made me happy. And, I intentionally got them. But so now what I do now is kind of, I'm just like more intentional about the things that I let into my life. And then I keep the essentials. So I might have more things than, um, compared to what I used to do when I wanted to like really downsize, I would like basically what I do now is I kind of just um I allow things into my life, but at the same time, I'm making sure that everything has a place, to put it simply.
Yeah, and I think we've all been there before. I've definitely gone down that route where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get rid of everything. Like it feels. I think the initial purge, I guess, that a lot of quote unquote minimalists do, I think feels good because you got rid of a bunch of stuff you don't use, and then I think we're like, okay, well, if this made me feel good, let me continue to do it. And I think sometimes we go a little overboard, but
Mhm.
you have to experience it. I think it's funny that minimalism is has the word minimal in it, but I don't think anyone is intentionally a minimalist until you experience more things. Because how are you supposed to know what you want in your life? How do you know what things mean the most to you unless you try something? You are never going to know if you like basketball unless you play basketball. You might like football, but you'll never know until you play football. And all those things, you acquire jerseys, you acquire equipment, and
Mhm.
I think the beauty of minimalism is you should try these things so you can kind of refine your focus in life. But like at the end of the day, if you just don't like football, like I think the beauty of minimalism is you can just kind of let go of it. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I had fun. I played football in high school, and now I'm okay with letting go of my old pads, my old, varsity
Yeah.
jacket. I just don't play anymore. And I think it's key to just remember that you still have those memories, and you still do take away stuff from those experiences. But I think it's just good to continue to try and continue to look at yourself. I think that's all minimalism is trying to do, is get you to self-evaluate. And I think that overall makes minimalism so great. And I think that's why a lot of people like it, because it kind of forces them to look at themselves, and also, I guess, look at the amount of stuff that they have, even though I don't think that is as big of an importance to the minimalist way of life.
Yeah, you're definitely right with that. It's outside of just getting rid of things. Um, there's a much bigger overall purpose for that. But no, awesome response. I didn't expect that. Now I just have a different perspective on that altogether. Um,
It takes a while. I mean, I didn't know either. I picked it up, I think, just like you, and I saw it, and I'll be honest, like it came from an aesthetic place first, where I was like, oh, these interiors look clean. Like I love like the way they have their apartments decorated. I love how simplified everything is, and I don't think I really understood it until like I started making this channel and I got feedback. And it's always a learning experience. But I think the one thing that everyone forgets to tell you about minimalism
mhm.
is like I said before, like it just takes experience. Like you need to experience stuff. Like just saying you're a minimalist, I think is good, but at the end of the day, I think you need to try being an extreme minimalist, and you should also try maybe not being a minimalist to kind of get to the point where you're most comfortable and the place that you enjoy the most. Because at the end of the day, no one is the same. So one minimalist telling another person how to be minimalist isn't going to work. I think it's different for every person. And
Yeah,
I don't think we should discourage anyone from trying it, because I do think everyone can benefit from it. I do think it's something that everyone can learn from and grow from. So yeah, I'm still learning, just like you, is basically what I'm saying. It's a
yeah,
journey.
yeah. It seems like you're a little further along, but no, no doubt. I do think it's like a unique experience for everybody who tries it. Like you said, no one minimalist is the same. I don't think it's something that you're able to categorize into just one broad group of people. Um, so no, no doubt, that's actually pretty awesome. Thank you for that different perspective.
No problem. Glad I could help.
Yeah. So next question I have for you is so I understand that you're an electrical engineer. Do you feel like your interests in men's lifestyles on the total opposite spectrum, or are these two things somewhat intertwined in a way that most people would not think about?
Um, I think it's a little intertwined. I think everyone's wired differently. Like I think people who are more classically into fashion are more keen on the creative side, and they can like match colors together. And I don't think I understand fashion at all. The one thing that I tried to take away from, and what got me into this whole fashion space, was kind of the engineering of the garments. Like I was really I guess obsessed with dialing it in, and really seeing where the materials are from, what makes a good jacket and what doesn't make a good jacket. And I kind of saw fashion through this like, I guess, engineered lens. And I
Mhm.
guess that kind of led me to design as well. I found that a lot of things that were engineered well not only were built from good materials and used good manufacturing practices, but they also had a very strong background in design. Like a lot of the pieces that I kind of gravitate to are like workwear and just minimal wear. And, a lot of these pieces kind of had the whole mindset of form before function, or function before form. So, a lot of these
Mhm.
work outfits were designed for a purpose. They were made for people who would go out in whatever field, and they had pockets that would hold tools. And I think those are kind of the designs that I like. And, I guess it kind of goes in tune with the whole engineering mindset. But for the most part, I do think there is some resemblance, and I think it's something that is kind of missing from the fashion world, where things are a little bit more thought out. Not
Mhm.
that I'm saying that engineers would be better fashion designers, but I do think it's good to kind of look at it through a practical lens, and really try and find out how to best make this garment function. That's what I try and base my wardrobe around. That's why I'm very intentional about it, because I'm a big believer in kind of like one tool for the job. And so anytime I purchase a piece of clothing, I want to make sure it does the job, but also it does the job well. So, um, it's funny that they are kind of not seen in the same lens, but in my opinion, I do think there are a lot of takeaways. Like going through this clothing industry and trying to find more sustainable and functional pieces, there are a lot of similarities between what happens in the clothing industry and what happens in the whole engineering world. It's different, but somewhat the same, for lack of a better answer. But that's just kind of how I got into it.
Okay, okay. And let me ask you: is your for when you find a wardrobe, or if you're looking for a wardrobe, or just different pieces to add to that, is it more of a rigorous process because you have a higher standard for the quality of clothing that you're wearing and the form and the function? Like what is it
Uh,
that?
like, yes, yeah. I mean, not necessarily difficult, but I will take the time to look. I guess my mentality is, if I'm going to spend my money on it, I kind of want to get something that's gonna last, or something that I'm gonna wear. I think the best way to think about it is cost per wear. If I
Mhm.
spend maybe a little bit more on a pair of shoes, but I wear them more than someone who spent a little less. Like, let's say I spend $100 on a pair of shoes, but I wear them, 5 times, and someone else spends $40 on a pair of shoes that they got on sale and only wears it twice. We essentially paid this is about the same per wear. So, for me, I do like to take into consideration. I do try and be a little bit more thoughtful, but usually when I buy anything, I just the main thing I just want to make sure that I wear it. I don't. I think I've gotten my wardrobe to a space where, or to a place where I don't really obsess about it too much, but I will look into things here and there and just kind of see how they're made, and it's just cool to see what's going on in the industry, and I guess check out like quote unquote new clothing technologies, or just like new ways of manufacturing and making stuff more sustainable, which is the stuff that I find cool. So anytime I find something like that, I usually kind of go down a rabbit hole, and we'll spend some time researching it. I guess I kind of find it fun. So
Yeah,
maybe a little obsessive, but I think it's easy for me because I enjoy it, which I think is the key for me.
yeah. So there's definitely value in it for you, even if it is a bit of a process. But
Yeah.
no doubt. Um, this kind of leads me into my next question. How did you come to find your personal style, and do you have a specific influence, or was it just through trial and error over the course of time?
The initial, I think, influence came from this guy on Instagram. His name's Frederick Risovic. Um, if you look at his wardrobe and his account, you'll probably see like I drew a lot of inspiration from him, and then from that, that's kind of what kind of originally got me into the whole minimalist space too. Is I really just like that clean aesthetic. He had a really clean house. Seemed
Mhm.
like he wore the same pair of shoes, the same like trousers or same sweater, and I was like, oh, I really want that, and that's what kind of got me into it. And then I think I started to get more personal about it is when I kind of got more and more into like workwear. Like I really like overshirts, and that's uh not to interesting. I would say like that's kind of like the extent of my wardrobe. Is it's a lot of basic pieces, and I just try and throw in a couple of workwear, outerwear pieces that I think are cool, you know, or that have some kind of backstory to it. Um, I guess mainly it's stuff that people have used, you know, whether it's like a military jacket or, you know,
Mhm.
a again like just a overshirt that a lot of the workers used to use. I just find that stuff interesting because it was made for a purpose rather than just for to look nice, I guess is the what I'm looking for.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Um. Okay. So this is a bit of a shift in from what we were talking about, more of like on the lifestyle side of things, I guess you could say. But
Sure.
next question. So the lifestyle that you decide to live looks as if it brings you a sense of peace. Excuse me. Would you say that after adopting your sense of style and design, has it contributed more to your happiness? Kind of like a look good, feel good type of thing, and just with all the belongings that you have, does it kind of like you know form
Yeah.
happiness around that?
Um I mean, yeah, yes, in a sense. You know, I don't think anyone would I think everyone feels good when they look good, you know, that whole moniker.
Hmm.
Um happiness wise, I mean, I don't think it I mean, my fiance could care less about the way I dress and um you know, happiness wise, I think I get the most joy out of being in like basketball shorts and a t-shirt at home.
Yeah.
A lot of this stemmed from like being in the office and coming out of college, and I was like, oh, you know, these guys are wearing collars, and I just am coming in a t-shirt, and I felt like I needed to just kind of step up my just kind of ditch the college clothes and kind of get something more professional looking. And that's when I started looking into clothes. And you know, I wouldn't say it necessarily made me happier, but I did feel the need, I guess, to make my wardrobe more grown up in a way. Um,
Understandable.
not that I really cared about what, like they could care less what I wore too, but I was like, okay, well, yeah, I do want to. You know, everyone says to dress for the job you want, and I did want to, you know, wanted people, I guess, to take me seriously. It's funny how clothing works, and that you have to kind of wear a suit and tie when you go to an interview. You have to, you know, dress up whenever an important client is coming, and it's weird in the Silicon Valley because a lot of the stuff is a little bit more casual, but nevertheless, you know, I did kind of feel like I could do something to my wardrobe and kind of refine it. You know, I think like minimalism. You know, you're always trying to refine, 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 refine. I guess it kind of started with clothing, and um, you know, I like it. You know, I do enjoy it. I wouldn't necessarily say like happiness is based in it. I enjoy
Hmm.
wearing the clothes that I wear, and I feel good in them. So I just enjoy it, I guess.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, Last question I have for you, or last main question, I should say.
Sure.
Um, what advice would you give to someone that is having trouble developing their own sense of style?
Sense of style. Try everything. You know, I went through a bunch of style trials, I guess. You know, I used when I was in middle school, that's when, you know, the big hip hop scene, and you know, I used to sag my jeans. I wore Echo and Fubu and all that stuff, and you know, I felt good. I thought I looked cool in middle school. And then as I got into college, I tried the whole preppy look, and I tried dressing cleaner and all this stuff. And it's a bunch of trial and error. You know, even when I make like an essential wardrobe video, I hope people just kind of take it with a grain of salt and make it their own, and really try things. You know, I think a good place to start is with the basics, and that's like a good foundation. You know, you'll always use denim, you'll always use a t-shirt, and then from there you can always kind of mix and match and try stuff. And I guess like an easy answer would be like, you know, just buy used clothes. Like I always recommend people try Grailed. Like if you don't know if a style's for you, there's
Hmm.
no point in buying stuff at retail price. Like go to your Goodwill, go to Marshall's, go find something that is out of your comfort zone and try. And if you like it, cool. Maybe you can proceed and go down that style path. But you know, experiment with everything. You know, and everyone's different. Everyone likes different things. Everyone sees colors in a different light. So if you're struggling, keep struggling. Just try a bunch of stuff. There's no harm, no foul. No one's gonna think any less of you for trying something new. Just have the confidence to wear it.
Uh, for sure, for sure. I'm actually going through a bit of that myself, which is why I ask. Kind of transitioning from the whole sporty basketball, dry fit shirt type of look to just
Yeah.
jeans and a t-shirt. So
I
I
mean, I
figured
still
I
wear
actually,
that stuff all the time. I mean, I love weekends in active wear. I feel real. I mean, it's almost like pajamas to me when you can wear dry fit and all that
yeah.
athletic stuff. So I probably would wear it to work too if they would let me. But you got to kind of come in chinos and a collared shirt. So that's the main
Definitely,
reason why I wear it. And I think like when I retire, I'll probably just be in that 24/7. That's where I'm most comfortable too.
yeah, definitely the that comfortable aspect of it plays a part. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever not wear basketball shorts and a t-shirt, but just looking a little more presentable, a little more
Yeah,
grown up
yeah,
when I'm out in public and whatnot. But yeah, so I got a few quick questions for you, and these aren't totally related to what we were just talking about, but I figured they'd
that's
be
fine.
fun. So, if you weren't in your current area of work, where do you think you would be at, and what would you be doing?
Uh, if I knew what I knew now, I think I would still go to school, but I might pick up architecture or industrial design, maybe mechanical engineering. Looking at clothes again as an electrical engineer, I really love the process of design, and I love the whole like aesthetic and product. It's crazy how much goes into making something uh, just like a t-shirt, like just the way the materials are made and then just how you design the pattern, how it lays on the body. So I mean, and outside of clothing, like there's a bunch of things that I'd be like, oh, I wish I could make like a different tea kettle. I wish I could make uh, like a different skateboard. And I wish I had more training in like modeling programs.
Hmm.
So I think it'd be cool to really try and bridge that gap between engineering and art and try and do some industrial design. I have a couple friends who are into it, and I never really paid much attention to it until I got into the whole kind of minimalist design and minimalist furniture aspect of it, and I really like it, and it's currently interests me. Like I find myself doing just as much research as I do at work. So um, I guess I would try something there.
Do you think you would ever end up going back to school for something like that? I mean,
Uh, you know, I loved school until like the very end. Like at the very end, it was just it kind of they set you up to do a lot of research,
mhm,
and maybe going back, maybe getting your master's and being more specialized. You would get a little bit more application, but I don't think I would go back to school right now. Uh, maybe I do still like to learn stuff. Like I'll still look stuff up on my own pertaining to engineering, but right now, I don't really have the desire. Maybe because of the way YouTube is going, and it'd be cool to try this freelance and not kind of go down the scholarly path that I've always gone down. I've done elementary, middle, high school, and then to
mhm,
college, and I think it was a good experience. But I do kind of want to see the other side of it and really try and fend for myself, I guess. I've been envious of a couple of friends too who
yeah,
kind of took the leap, started their own business, and I'm like, man, then they tell me it's not easy, but it does
yeah,
look like it's a lot of fun. It looks like it's good stress, I guess. I know there's no way of getting around hard work, but I would love to try it.
yeah. The entrepreneur route definitely is enticing, and you look like you're in a prime position to take it on. So, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, I
You
mean, I still have no idea what I'm doing. There's every day it's like new stuff. I just got, well, not just, but I did my taxes this year. And even doing taxes now with having like a freelance thing or having a paycheck from YouTube is a little weird. And I had to
yeah,
call up an accountant and ask. And, there's all this stuff that goes into it. And entrepreneurship is enticing and but at the same time, it is a pretty big undertaking. So
yeah,
um, I'd like to try it too, I guess. But we'll see what happens.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, like you said, it's good stress. So if you
Yeah,
take it
good
on,
stress.
it'll be like you said, it'll probably end up pretty good. So, next question that I have for you. Um, in one of your videos, I noticed you were working on a Volkswagen. Do you drive a Volkswagen? And if you do, what's your reasoning? I currently drive a Jetta, and like I'm slowly becoming a fan of German-produced cars, like BMWs, the Audis. Um, just want to get your take on that.
Yeah, German cars are nice. I drive a Volkswagen Golf, and I drive the GTI version of it.
Okay.
The whole reason I drive it is I actually used to just drive a Honda Civic, and then
Mm,
that car got totaled last year, so I was looking for a new car.
okay.
And when I did my research, I really just kind of liked the interiors of Volkswagen. I thought it was the Golf in particular was like this perfect compromise. It was a compact car
Hmm.
with a hatchback and had a little bit of a sporty ride, which was kind of cool. So kind of ticked all those boxes. So it's a jack of all, but master of none. And the main reason I actually got it was because you could get it with a manual transmission, and personally, that's what I like to drive. I know for a lot of
Hmm.
people it's out of date, and today's automatics are just as fast as manual, but again, it goes back to that whole moniker of anything that I do, I want to enjoy it. And I the transit system out here in the technologically advanced Silicon Valley is terrible.
Oh
The
yeah,
train only,
surprisingly.
yeah, the train doesn't do anything. I think the best transit in America is probably in New York. Their subway station is awesome. But
Hmm.
so if you have to drive a car every day to work, I was like, I'm gonna get a car that I want to be in and that I enjoy driving. So that was the whole decision process, and I'm happy with it. They do make good cars. The door sounds solid. German cars are nice. They are a little more expensive, but they are nice.
Yeah, I think it's worth it in the end. When I
Yeah,
was recently bought my first car about a year ago, like I said, it was a Jetta. So I was looking at Acuras, Hondas, Volkswagen, just stuff within my price range. It's still a little nice, maybe a little sporty, clean interiors and whatnot.
right.
But I just kept coming back to Volkswagen and the Jetta. So no, I get what you're saying. Like for me, I commute about an hour um, there and back to my job. So it's a
Wow.
car I enjoy being in every day that I have to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, it's
So
a
like
little
you said,
more. And then coming from a Honda, like their interiors aren't as nice, and like, I mean, Honda Civics and Acuras do the job, right? They get you from point A to point B.
oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
And I mean, I would have kept my Civic if it didn't get totaled. And then it just kind of happened where I was like, okay, well, need a new car. I was like, I kind of want to get something that's a little. I experienced the Civic and I knew what I didn't like, and I guess that's how I kind of ended up getting a Volkswagen.
Okay. Do you think that you would transition to a different German car at any point in time, or you think you're just sticking with the Volkswagen, or like what's your mindset with that? Just curious,
Uh, I
based off
mean,
your experience with this German car, at least.
there's a lot of German cars that I want. I think a lot of kids grow up like less than after Porsches, or even everyone like M3s, BMWs would be nice.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
they're pretty expensive, and I like thought about it for a while, but I think I would kind of just stick with Volkswagen. I think again, it's just like that perfect compromise, and I think it's a car, and especially after just getting my car totaled, I was like, I really don't want a nice car. I was like, I'd rather just have a car that kind of does everything well, and like if it gets hit or gets damaged, like I'm not gonna worry about it. It's not gonna be a huge financial stress.
Hmm.
Because funny thing, you were like a month after I got that Volkswagen, I bought it used. To
Okay.
2017. I parked it in a parking structure at a mall, and I parked at like the edge. I kind of took some consideration and trying not to get the doors dinged. And when I
Hmm.
came back out, the front bumper was like crashed into. Luckily the
Oh.
cameras caught it on tape, but that really kind of solidified it with me. Like there's a lot of nice cars out there, BMWs, Mercedes, and Audis, but I was like,
Hmm.
I'm good with like, I think the Golf will be like the nicest car that I'll ever purchase. I've gotten hit so many times, it's
Kind of put
insane.
like a like a little anxiety in the back of your head with cars.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I did used to grow up being like, oh, I wish I was like, I was hoping like, maybe I can drive a fast car. What boy doesn't grow up being like, oh, I just want to mash the gas pedal and go fast, and I love that feeling.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I might just stick with Volkswagen just in case. Maybe get a Golf R if I
Oh, yeah.
ever muster up enough money to get that.
Oh yeah. Okay, I got you. I'm in a similar boat. Like I said, I've only bought my first car about a year ago, but from this experience, I wouldn't mind buying a few more Volkswagen cars throughout my lifetime. So far, pretty good. I haven't had any issues, and I genuinely like it just because of the pricing and everything else that comes with the car. So
Yeah, it's like a
ultimately,
baby Audi.
yeah, it literally is the baby Audi, which is why I like it so much. You kind of get that, maybe not as fast, but a little
Yeah,
cheaper.
I was a little hesitant too because it seems like the American mindset is that Volkswagens are really unreliable. And I did a
Yeah,
bunch of of course, I did a bunch of research, went on Reddit, asked friends, and got mixed answers, mixed reviews. So it's good to hear that you haven't had any issues with yours.
yeah, that's something that like kind of made me hesitant to get mine at first too, just because I went to a few mechanics in my area, and they're like, yeah, Volkswagens aren't too reliable, and even some car dealerships have a few like premium German car dealerships, and like, oh yeah, we don't carry Volkswagen just because they're not that reliable. And like I said, I did some more research, and the model that I got was, you know, fairly reliable, so I felt comfortable purchasing it. But
Nice, nice. Yeah, and then the turbos are like really efficient. Whenever I drive from the Bay Area down to LA, in my
mhm.
Civic, I used to have to fill up like twice or three times. And then with the turbo, I can almost make it back and forth on like a single tank of gas. Like they're pretty efficient too, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, like, I have the 2015 2.0 liter, uh,
Nice, nice. Yeah,
so
the
it's
newer, I
it's
think the
not.
newer ones you don't have a lot to worry about according to the internet.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I get a new one. But so far, not too bad. Decent MPG and whatnot.
Yeah,
But yeah, last question for you.
sure.
Uh, so pancakes or French toast? I need to know if you had to choose.
God, I used to be have a vendetta against pancakes, but recently,
Whoa.
uh, well, my fiance is a huge fan of them, and she's gotten me into them. And I think we were just using the wrong recipe, so we looked up a different pancake recipe, and I guess like now I'm a pancake guy. I think French toast I used to like because it was easier to make. You don't really have to make, you don't
Yeah,
have to break out the flour and stuff. French toast is literally just egg and bread, right?
yeah, true,
So
true.
I guess when I was lazy and back in the day when I just wanted something quick in the morning, it would probably have been French toast. But now, yeah, I'll give it up to pancakes.
All right, that's the answer I was looking to hear.
Glad I
Yeah,
could.
pancakes over waffles and French toast. But yeah,
Glad.
thanks, Eric. I appreciate you coming onto the show and just giving me some of your time. Um, is there
Yeah.
anything that you want to plug? Any projects, videos, anything coming out that I could let the few followers that I have know about?
Uh, I mean, just I guess check out the YouTube channel if they want to. But it's been nice talking. I appreciate guys and girls, everybody
Yeah.
that steps out of their comfort zone and try something new. That's something that working at a 9 to 5 job isn't as great as it seems. You get like a steady paycheck, and it, it's
Hmm.
kind of the path that I think a lot of people are taught. But I do think the society needs more people like yourself that will take that leap and try. You never know what's going to happen, and you'll never know unless you try. And it starts with a podcast, and who knows where it ends. You could end
Hmm.
working somewhere where your talents are used, and you never would have ended up there if you never just took that first step of just hitting the record button. So yeah, thanks for having me. And it's really nice to see and refreshing to see younger and younger guys take a step up and swing. So
Yeah.
nothing but the best for you and your podcast, and I appreciate you having me.
No, thank you. I appreciate all the wise wisdom and words you've just provided. And yeah, no, like I said, huge fan. Thanks for coming on. And I wish you the best in your endeavors as well. Channel's awesome. Keep up the great work.
Sounds good. Thanks, Makai.
If you've made it this far, I just want to thank you for listening. And Eric, if you're listening, I want to give you a massive thank you for agreeing to come on. Definitely head over to his YouTube channel and subscribe. He's one of my favorite YouTubers and one of my favorite creators in general. And I know I'm getting some pretty quality content whenever I watch any of his videos. So anything that we talked about in the episode or anything that was mentioned will be in the description. So head over there and check that out if you do want to check out Eric's channel specifically. If you enjoyed the episode as a whole, definitely feel free to tell a friend, subscribe on iTunes, and leave a review because it helps the podcast get some more exposure. Lastly, I have one more plug for those of you who know and for those of you who do not know. Uh, my website has been going through an overhaul or redesign, but that redesign is pretty much completed at this point in time. So if you head over there, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter, where I send a weekly email on a personal development practice and just updates with the podcast. It's not spammy or invasive, and it's going to be pretty valuable content. So if that sounds appealing, head over to thesimpleideapodcast.com and sign up. Next week's episode should be a pretty interesting one, so be on the lookout for that. But with that said, that's all I have for you guys this week, and enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.